as protesters square off against officers in front of an ICE facility outside of Chicago. The U.S. Catholic bishops are calling out the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. Watch.
We are disturbed when we see among our people a climate of fear and anxiety around questions of profiling and immigration enforcement.
We are saddened by the state of contemporary debate and the vilification of immigrants. We are concerned about the conditions in detention centers and the lack of access to pastoral care.
We feel compelled now in this environment to raise our voices in defense of God-given human dignity.
Our next guest says that these bishops are preaching compassion while fueling a system that empowers cartels. Tara Rodas blew the whistle about the migrant children being trafficked on the southern border, and she joins us now. Tara, I have to believe that you had the same kind of blood boiling when you saw this video, because I never saw these bishops say anything when, as you said, these children were being trafficked by the cartels, and many of them fell into sex trafficking, and all kinds of other terrible things happened. What's your response to these bishops?
Yes, well, first, Rachel, it's always a pleasure to be with you. Thank you so much to see you on this beautiful Sunday. But I think it's just the height of hypocrisy that the bishops are calling this out when, as you mentioned, they had nothing to say about the missing migrant children, still have nothing to say about these children, even though we know, as our great law enforcement has gone searching for them, they have found children deceased. They have found children raped, abused, tortured. We know that many of the people who took possession of these children, who were illegal migrants, were criminals, members of gangs, members of transnational criminal organizations. This is the height of hypocrisy. What I think they're concerned about is their wallet. We all know that hundreds of millions of dollars are flowing in to Catholic charities that they are distributing, and that's just horrific, to put profits over people.
Absolutely. You're right. We lost 300,000 children. The Biden administration set up a hotline for these kids to call if there was a problem, and then they never answered the hotlines. And all kinds of terrible things, as you said, happened. I thought that the money for the NGOs, Catholic charities, and other, the Lutherans were in on it, the Jewish NGOs were in on this money. Did that not get cut off? Is that still flowing?
Well, there is money still flowing, but not like it was before, which is why you are now seeing the bishops come forward criticizing the administration. It truly is the heart of hypocrisy to criticize based on compassion, which their policies are not compassionate, right? We've seen the results of it. And what they're really talking about is their money is being cut off. And that's what they're concerned about. And I find that appalling.
Yeah, I find it embarrassing as a Catholic. I'm super embarrassed by it all. Here's Tom Homan, another Catholic, a lifelong Catholic, right outside the White House, also commenting on it. Listen.
We're going to force the law, and by doing that, we're saving a lot of lives. Secure border saves lives. The Catholic Church wrong. I'm sorry, but I'm a lifelong Catholic. I'm saying it as not only at borders, I'll say it as a Catholic. I think they need to spend time fixing the Catholic Church, in my opinion.
Your reaction, Tara, and also to the fact that these bishops were totally in the know about what was happening to these children and continued to be complicit in this arrangement with the Biden administration.
Yes, absolutely. And, it's important to make a distinction that the Catholic Church is not Catholic Charities. And so
that's fair.
Catholic Charities, they are getting millions and millions of dollars in both grant and federal funds. So we're not criticizing the church. The Vatican is actually not giving money towards this, but some parishioners are. But a majority of this is a federal pipeline. That's what's happening. So these are federal dollars by the American taxpayer, and I think that's what the taxpayer needs to know, is that their money is being used to violate the human rights and dignity of immigrants, of these children, of these missing children, dead children. And the moment this administration came in and clamped down on the border, we saw the streets start to become safer as they are removing MS-13 members, 18th Street gang members, members of foreign terrorist organizations. This is what America deserves. Families deserve to be safe in their communities, and that's what this administration is delivering.
Yeah.
So again, it's hypocrisy, absolutely, to criticize this administration for enforcement of laws.
Yeah, it's also evil. I'm sorry. I'm not going to make excuses
Yes.
for what happened to these children. And by the way, vast majority of them, the vast majority of them are Hispanic children, Latin American children that they
Yes.
claim to care so much
Yes, they
about.
are.
Tara Rodas, great to
sure
have you.
do.
Thank you for all the hero work you did. It's not easy being a whistleblower, but you did it. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Rachel. It's always great to see you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.